Hey, what's up, guys? I got a review of the Power A Pro Elite wireless controller for the PS3. So far it's been a great controller, so stick around and watch the review. Alright guys, so here's the controller. It's the Power A Pro Elite wireless controller. It's not a Bluetooth controller, let me get that out there real quick. It has a USB dongle, so you gotta use one of these, and it's got the charging port, and you can charge it with other stuff. You don't have to just use this. And the cable that comes with it, you can charge it with other USB to micro USB cords and use that. It's got a button on the front. I'm not even sure what that does, but pretty much you just gotta plug this in, and it fits pretty snug up against the PS3. But you're not really here for that. You're here for the controller. One thing I want to point out, though, let me go ahead and point this out. I cut the analog stick in there. This is the one problem that I had with it. This controller has been great the whole time I've been using it, except for this one problem I had with it. Every time I would push up here or off to the side here, and this might not be with every controller, but this was what was happening with mine. The analog stick would stick up against here for like probably about a second or 2 seconds. It would stick like that without me even holding it. But I had to cut that out and sand it down a little bit, and it's great now. It doesn't stick at all. That was a little bit disappointing, but for the most part, the buttons on here, all the buttons work very well. They're very responsive. The controller works really great. Here's the micro USB to charge it, and it charges pretty quick. It lasts about probably a full day of playing, maybe 2 days. It's not near as long of a charge you get with this as compared to like the DualShock 3. And actually, when I took it apart, the battery in here is really small, so that's probably the reason why. And the controller itself feels really light. It's a very light controller. It's a lot more lightweight. I guess you could compare it with the 6-axis. It feels about the same weight as the 6-axis, maybe a little bit more, but it does have rumble, and it has 6-axis support. So it's definitely surprising that they packed everything into this and it's so light. The rumble works pretty well. Also, the texture on here, let me go ahead and say something about that. This is really nice. Right here, the texture on here, the pattern that they put, it feels weird at first. It's definitely something I'm wondering if it's going to go soft. Like, it feels hard. It's pretty grippy. But after a while, I wonder if it'll get soft or not, but I'm guessing not because it's plastic. It just feels like it would, I guess because of the texture of the controller. The buttons, all the buttons, they work great. Haven't had a problem with any of the buttons, even the R2 and the L2. As you can see, they're slanted at the back. That's one thing I didn't like about the PS3 controller. So your fingers won't slip off unless you really try hard. But they do stay on there pretty well. Like I said, the R1, L1 buttons are really responsive, and the R2 and L2. All the face buttons are responsive. The D-pad on here is really great. I can't believe how well this D-pad is. It's not quite as good as the DualShock 3, but then again, I think that's like the best D-pad there is on any controller, just because it's pretty much sectioned off. But this one, it works a lot better. It works better than the Xbox 360 one. By miles, it works a lot better. The start and select buttons work really well. As you can see, if I didn't mention that, which I probably didn't, the buttons, they light up. There's LEDs there, and LEDs at the PlayStation button. Those light up. What else? The analog sticks. That's one thing about third-party controllers that I just can't stand. The analog sticks are so... the sensitivity on them is really shitty. They just are not good at all. This one has really good sensitivity, except for that one thing, like I said earlier, the analog sticking, but that was only because, I guess, I'm not sure, I guess it was something in here on the stick itself, but it was sticking right there. Doesn't do that anymore. Probably doesn't do that on most controllers. Might have just been mine. I'm hoping that was it. But yeah, analog sticks, they work really well. The top of them, they're really rubbery, very grippy, so they work pretty well. And I like how the analog sticks are on this controller. It's a lot better than the DualShock. I just like the feel of it. it feels a lot better than cramping up like this, holding, you know, the DualShock 3. And that's another thing on here. This controller is, it's about the same size as, I put it next to my Xbox 360 controller, and it's about the exact same size as the Xbox 360 controller, which doesn't look it, like on camera, it does not look like it's the same size, but it is. It's almost exactly the same, except the analog stick, or not the analog sticks, the hand grips, I guess you could call them, are different. They're more like the DualShock 3 style ones. This controller feels a lot more ergonomic in your hands. It's not near as uncomfortable as the DualShock 3 or 6-axis. Feels a lot more like the Xbox 360. It just naturally is better in your hands, I guess. Feels a lot better. D-pad, everything, easy to get to all the buttons without, you know, straining any of your fingers. It works really well. One thing that I had happen, the wireless, it would go out sometimes, so I got a little extension on the USB for this thing and put it up a little higher because my PS3 is on the floor, and that seemed to stop doing that, but it would cut out, like it would lose the connection to the controller. I guess it was because it was so low. I'm not real sure, or I guess I'm not really sure. That's the only thing I can think of. But on the back, there's no battery pack, so it's still, you know, really comfortable on the back. I'm trying to think of what else. Pretty much said mostly everything about it. It's a lot better of a controller than the DualShock 3, in my opinion. Definitely some of the things on the DualShock 3 are better than this, but overall, this is a great controller. This is like the best third-party controller I've ever seen, and I've reviewed a lot of them and played with a lot of them that I haven't reviewed, and this is by far the best PS3 third-party controller that you can possibly buy. There is another one, the Raven, the Nyko Raven. That one looks pretty interesting. If you guys want to check that one out, I'm not sure if I'll buy that and review it, but we'll see. This one, I'm pretty happy with this. This is a really great controller. Trying to think of anything else that I want to say about the controller. It's just, that's pretty much it. It's made by PowerA. It's the Pro Elite. It's a great controller if you've got the money. I got this off of Amazon for $35 and free shipping. It normally goes for $45, but I guess I found it somewhere else on Amazon, and it was pretty cheap. And it's a really great controller. The analog sticks are really good for first-person shooters, which, you know, almost none, or there are almost none of the third-party controllers that are near as good as the DualShock 3, but this comes as close as you can possibly get to the DualShock 3 analog sensitivity. Has no dead zone, so it's pretty good there. You don't get any dead zone, so it's very accurate analog sticks. I don't think the buttons aren't pressure sensitive like on the DualShock 3, but I guess that's okay for how cheap this controller is. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Can't really think of anything else for this controller except it's a great controller. It's the best third-party controller you could probably buy right now. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching the review, and subscribe if you want to see more videos.